Get Out of Your Own Way by Jovita Jenkins. Chapter 3. Quote, There is no data on the future. Author, Laurel Cutler. Chapter 3. Jovita's Success Prescription. Don't just move with the cheese. Redesign the maze. Author, Jovita Jenkins. The road to success is filled with obstacles and bumps. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to always be able to successfully navigate the road, navigate around the obstacles, and safely traverse the bumps? Despite the odds against it, some of us get from where we start out initially to where we want to be in spite of the challenges we face along the way. And many of us accomplish this feat not once, but many times throughout our lives. There comes a time, though, when no matter how successful we have been in the past, that our success formula no longer works. That phenomenon seems to happen more frequently during the rapidly changing, turbulent times in which we currently live. In fact, strategies that worked last year, or as recently as last week, may have to be modified if we want to continue to be successful in the future. There are times in most of our lives when we wonder whether or not we have what it takes to be successful. As discussed in the previous chapter, the workplace of the 21st century provides an excellent example. There are no guarantees. Changes in organizational structure, management, or a downturn in the economy can trigger massive layoffs and business reversals. Or on the other hand, we may be wildly successful. Human nature is such that we begin to wonder whether we can sustain our success or whether or not we have what it takes to go to the next level. Changes in our personal lives can also wreak havoc, regardless of whether the change is viewed as good or bad. We get married or divorced. We have children, take on caretaker roles for our parents, or join the empty nesters. All of these events breed uncertainty about our coping and success skills. It is during the challenging times when we encounter roadblocks or have to jump mountains that we separate the truly successful people from those who fall by the wayside along the road of life. Early on in my journey through life, I became a student of what it takes to be successful. I've always been, and continue to be, fascinated with finding out why it is that some people are wildly successful and some are not able to reach the success levels to which they aspire. Or even worse, why some people don't aspire to anything other than just getting by. What I've discovered is that those who feel that they have the greatest control over their lives are consistently more successful than those who don't. This section of the book, Part 2, contains the wisdom I've gained as I traverse my own success paths. Yes, there have been several. It incorporates not only my experience, but also the success strategies of my corporate colleagues, business, and coaching clients. The principles are simple but profound. The strategies can be adapted to fit almost any situation. In the next 5 chapters, you will be introduced to Jovita's Success Prescription. I will also share the rationale for the prescription, provide action steps for utilizing my prescription, and tips to speed you along your individual path to success, however you define it. The prescription elements are, number 1, retrain your brain. Number 2, discover your passion and purpose. Number 3, develop your action plan. Number 4, walk the walk and talk the talk. And number 5, develop a dream team. Redesign the maze. One of the most talked about books in the last few years was a little book by Spencer Johnson entitled Who Moved My Cheese? The story is a great metaphor for change. It chronicles the escapades of two mice and two little people who live in a maze and look for cheese to nourish them and make them happy. The cheese represents whatever is important to you, and the maze represents where you look for the cheese. As you might expect, one day the characters in the story arrive in the maze and find the cheese is gone. The mice immediately search for and find new cheese. One of the little people reluctantly searches for and eventually finds new cheese. The other one remains paralyzed by fear and refuses to venture out into the maze. I chose not to identify with any of the characters in the story. My goal is not just look for new cheese, someone else's cheese, but to reinvent the maze, make my own. My purpose in introducing you to Jovita's Success Prescription is to provide you with tools and techniques that can help you redefine your maze, success however you define it. Then, instead of finding the cheese left by someone else, you can decide how to configure the maze and where to put the cheese, your favorite kinds, of course. In short, my goal is to help you determine how to redefine the maze and its content, not just move with the cheese.